All right, well, my vision is within 10 years, I envision a Southwest Atlanta and a South Fulton with the full social, economic, and political power it needs to reach its full potential. The reason I think that is because of my experience within the community and my experience in teaching. I know that I need to learn more about the social and economic issues that affect not only my students and my parents, but my community. And I also need to learn about more so what current political organizations and leaders within the community are already doing and not doing. And the larger reason for why is because in order to enact my vision, I know that I would have to eventually be within a place a place to serve. And I think that my next step of doing that is to prepare for to run for the Georgia State Legislature within the next few years.
My vision is to develop different effective strategies for students to learn what their full potential is and then how they want to actualize that when they get out of school. And so my next step is to research. Right now I'm thinking about having students figure out their potential by being exposed to different types of experiences and seeing how they react to those. And so I'm going to research some organizations that focus on offering high school students global experiences.
Okay, so I've been thinking a lot about my theory of change, and I kind of thought about my experience with Teach for America and our speaker from a previous week, Mr. Black, and he mentioned people don't have an awareness that there's an oppression, and I also connected that back to the fact that people, including myself, wasn't even aware of my own privilege. So something I'm really thinking of doing in the following years is working towards creating meaningful experiential partnerships between corporations and communities to really try and, one, increase awareness about the disparities, and two, of course, on the reverse side, giving students and communities exposure to opportunities that are out there. So my next step is to contact a former boss of mine who actually founded what's called the PUEO program at my private high school, and they actually get students from Hawaii public schools into summer school programs at my private school, and I really wanted to kind of pick his brain and see what his theory of change is, how he started this program, because it is very partnership oriented, and I kind of want to maybe even ask him to sort of be a mentor of mine or some sort of contact of mine to my next step, I guess.
So my vision up there was that schools would be fueled by love and run by crazy passionate people who are empowered to do whatever it takes to grow their students academically and socially. And that was really informed by being in my third year, coming from a school as a special ed teacher where that was definitely not the case, to being at a school where, in my opinion, that's true of every single person in the building, and really being frustrated by what it being that model is not something that's new, what the gap is between recruiting, training, and most importantly sustaining the best people who that's true for, that just have a love for their students and their work. And so that wanting to reach that vision, my next step is I have a contact with a woman who is an executive at the Georgia Leadership Institute for School Improvement. So just sitting with her and talking to her specifically about what she's seen in her consulting work and what it might take to make that true.
I don't know anymore. Can you come back to me the next time in February? And Kate.
Okay. So the problem that I've been thinking about, and for some reason my phone didn't work at all on my phone, so is the lack of compassion between my students. And I think if students had compassion for each other, that they'd be more able to work together to increase their achievement and quality of education. And so my next step, I listed different people that I feel like have so much more experience than I do in these communities. And just to ask them about the lack of compassion and ask what they think caused it and see if that aligns with my theories of why I think this is happening. And then just sort of ask for their advice for a solution to that.
My vision is to develop students to help them realize their true potential and gain a successful quality education leading to higher education and receiving support. while currently, like, despite their negative or unfavorable social environments or communities, I feel that students feel like they can't reach these goals, these educational goals that they have, and future goals because of the environment that they're in and don't have support for such. So my next step is research. Research how to positively influence and engage them to overcome their environment, and research effective mentoring and how to appropriately tie that into pedagogy or curriculum into the classroom. And also effective remediation tactics, even though I realize that not everyone wants to go to college, I still feel like they should be able to be successful in high school. So.
Okay, so I didn't text anything up there. I'm still thinking a lot about my vision, but this idea that I keep coming back to that I feel strongly about is early childhood education, because being in the high school classroom, I see like the deficiencies that my students have and how behind they are and how difficult it is to get them caught up to where they need to be, especially at the high school level. And the more research I do about education, I find that like these opportunity gaps or these achievement gaps are really beginning even before students reach kindergarten, with like what's happening in their home and like the ways that their parents are speaking to them and interacting with them. And so I just right now feel like I need to do more investigation about early childhood education and how I want to be involved possibly with that.
Cool. Okay, so I guess the vision statement that I put on the board was that white people in our country would take ownership of not only our privilege, but our role in the systemic inequality that still exists. And because I don't see there being really sustainable change until we do as a majority and as people in power begin to acknowledge and work towards that. So my next steps are just going to be to continue doing research on the anti-racism education movement that's here present in Atlanta and across our nation, because I see myself wanting to have conversations and bring about that awareness that Rachel was talking about. And so looking at workshops and seeing how, since I'm staying in the classroom next year, I can start to have those conversations and make that change while I'm still in the classroom.
Okay, my vision is very broad, but I've broken it down into maybe smaller subsections. But overall, I think the science education system in our country needs to be revolutionized from K all the way through graduate school. So I kind of laid out what I think is important in each of those categories, but I think looking at 9 through 12, I believe that at that point students should be able to apply critical thinking skills to solve scientific and engineering problems based on a background they should have already gotten, and then they could take those skills and begin to connect society, literature, and science together in a broader, maybe this would be college, in a broader context of political, societal, and economic problems. So I don't think students can do that right now. And then next steps, I guess for me, I am really inspired by this particular session because I realized that I don't have to immediately be an entrepreneur right now. I can start looking at other organizations that are already doing this and start making connections and start looking at where I can get in, because I'm obviously not in that right now. So kind of figuring out where I can go.